why you need to honor your victim. In case we haven't met yet, I'm Jess and I'm the sole founder of Life in Confidence. Now, we all have been a victim of any form of circumstance or relationship or situation. And it's so easy to judge that in the spiritual space or the inner work, that the victim can be painted as a negative character, heavy, self-centered, negative, and constantly is in need of validation. Because that victim inside of you didn't get that validation or receive it from the first 8 years of your life in your upbringing, where you are either rejected, crushed, criticized, disrespected, humiliated, unwanted, unwelcome into the world. And we then take that story and play it like a movie in our adult life, like a projector, and constantly seeing our lives as a victim. Now, the identity of the victim exists in the ego in order for the ego to be alive. And the point isn't destroying the ego. And if we attempt to do that, you will never win, because you're giving power to the ego. And you're also feeding hatred towards yourself. If you decide to go on the pilgrimage as a monk or a nun to be enlightened, then that's the ultimate path moving forward. But not everyday average people will want to do that. So let's learn how to accept the victim instead, to be at peace with the victim. So we all have the victim in us because we all have experienced some form of abuse. It doesn't have to be domestic violence. It doesn't have to be rape. It could be feeling criticized in a disrespectful manner. It could be feeling unwelcome into a gathering of your loved ones. It could be rejection and feeling the heartache of that misery of loss, feeling abandoned. So there's different ways how we can experience trauma as a victim by the abuser, but we also have been the abuser as well, where we lash out our pain onto our loved ones, where we have bullied, humiliated, criticized, rejected, avoided, unwelcome a loved one. And so when we do not honor the victim within ourselves and judge it as a negative, heavy thing, then what's happening is we are repressing the shadow parts of ourselves that wants to come into light and awareness for healing in order for you to integrate. If we don't do that, we get caught up in a vicious cycle of being a victim of circumstance wherever we go and blame others for our triggers, when really we need to address that within ourselves, that deep-rooted victim programming and the programming of the abuser. So when we start to look at the victim and the abuser within ourselves through awareness, through light, through acceptance and compassion, rather than beating our ego up as a disgrace, this is where true healing can come through. And this is where you can finally feel more comfortable in your own skin by accepting and embracing that part of you. And when we do that, we can then honor the victim by expressing our victim fully in a safe container, whether it's by ourselves because we learned the tools to do so, or whether it's with a facilitator in the healing arts, where you can be seen in the victim to purge what the victim part of you is holding on to bring into light, so you're not constantly holding on to the past. And through that experience of the victim, that's when you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, when you give your victim self and your abuser self full permission to fully express itself in a safe container. Then you are also letting go of old stories, emotions that's been repressed for such a long time, and letting go and shedding away an old identity that isn't true. And through this journey of healing and honoring the victim and the abuser within ourselves, we then empower ourselves, where the victim and the abuser finally feels complete. They finally had their words to say, because the abuser is really a victim deep down. They're just role modeling and repeating and rehashing the patterns of the victim as the abuser. So when we give voice to those darker parts of ourselves, we then set ourselves free, because we deserve to be seen in our darkness and in our light, because we are polarity. And through this polarity, we can also learn to manage the extremes to the point where we become more neutral, more integrative. This is why it's really important to honor the victim within ourselves, because this will provide healing for the shadow parts of ourselves that also needs to be seen and heard, just like our inner child, just like our adult self. Because this is part of our experience, is to be seen, held, and witnessed in order to shift and release the heaviness that we've been carrying into light, so we can ascend to a high level of consciousness. And this is where the ego can evolve further when we hit into a high level of consciousness, until our consciousness is a lot more sharper and stronger than the workings of the ego. And when we use that elevated state of consciousness to witness what is going on with our ego, the victim, the abuser, the self-sabotage, the inner critic, then we can learn to master ourselves. And there are times where it's a real struggle to, and that's okay. This is why we need to honor the victim, to be fully expressed and seen, to then integrate the victim into peace. We haven't killed the victim, we're just bringing the victim into peace. And this helps to regulate our nervous system to be more stable, and for our own peace of mind and sanity as well. This is why I do not judge people for being a victim and being the abuser when I facilitate their journey, because it is an important, crucial part of the trauma recovery experience. And when we are able to then shift of being a victim, being stuck in that identity, to being an observer and seeing the victim as a part of us, but it is not us, it's just a part of us, then we can have more control and power to turn that around, to do something about it, rather than judging ourselves constantly for being a victim of circumstance. So if you got something out of this video, I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this a like, comment below, share it with your loved ones, so people can have access to this content to raise their awareness with what's going on within themselves. Also, if you feel you're ready to take your healing journey to the next level, to live a life beyond trauma, then I invite you to come along to my Chinese New Year Inner Child Healing Circle, where I will take you on a journey through light language and quantum healing, through star magic and codes, to help you release and heal multiple versions of your inner children that felt victimized, that hasn't been given a voice to be seen and felt. So this can bring more peace and harmony and balance within yourself moving forward into the new year. I will also be sharing with you a collective forecast of 2025 and also a personalized zodiac reading in ways you can support yourself to improve your health, relationships, your relationship with yourself, your career, and other aspects of your life that needs to be enhanced. So there will be tools and guidance for you to receive in that transmission, and a guided art therapy and a personalized message just for you to move forward in your healing journey ahead so you can empower yourself. If you feel called to do this or like to learn more, please click on the link below to check it out or to book your spot. And I am also running my trauma recovery workshops and retreats in Australia and overseas. And I have different types, so if you'd like to learn more about that, please click on the link below to have a read to see if it's right for you. If you need to book a clarity call, you're welcome to do so, to ask me questions and share any concerns about the immersion, or if you need a payment plan to make it happen. And lastly, if you're not able to make this live, my workshop or my Zoom transmission, then you can also download my trauma healing audios. I have one on childhood trauma, ancestral clearing, and past life trauma clearing. And you can listen to this as many times as you wish in the comfort of your own home. So please click on the shop link below to get those audios into your ears so you can start clearing any blockages in your field and in your consciousness. So there you have it, my love. Please welcome all versions of you because they are longing to be seen through love and your light.